Good morning, students. Today I am going to discuss session 2 of chapter 7 from your class 12 biology syllabus. The name of the chapter is evolution. Already we have completed session 1 of chapter 7, and from session 1 we came to know a lots of things about evolution. The first thing we came to know the definition of evolution, and the next thing is the theory of evolution, third origin of life and origin of evolution, and different kinds of theory against it. So today we are going to discuss the experimental proof of the chemical evolution of life. So let's start the today's class. Today we are going to discuss the experimental proof of for chemical evolution of life. There was two scientists, the Oparin and Haldane, Oparin from Russia and Haldane from England, proposed that first form of life could have come from the pre-existing non-living substance, non-living organic materials, organic molecules such as RNA and protein, and that formation of life actually was preceded by chemical evolution. I am repeating again. There was two scientists, Stanley Miller and Urey, created conditions similar to the primitive atmosphere in the laboratory using the glass apparatus and tubes. Okay. So next thing, they created electrical discharge using the electrodes and in a conical flask containing the methane, ammonia, hydrogen and water vapor at 800 degrees centigrade. You have to remember these four compounds name: the methane, ammonia, water vapor and hydrogen. Okay, so you have to remember these four compounds name properly during the time of your exam, because this is important. The water containing chamber was heated to provide the water vapor. Okay, after that, after a week, they observed the formation of the amino acids. So by these all those compounds, one actually the organic compound is formed. The name of the organic compound is amino acid. In similar experiments, many other scientists actually observed the formation of sugar, nitrogen base, lipids, amino acids and even pigments. Analysis of the meteorites also revealed the presence of similar compounds, indicating the occurrence of similar process elsewhere in the space. So the chemical evolution of life was more or less accepted. Okay, so already we have actually discussed the different proposal of evolution, different proposal of origin of life. Actually, from where actually life came? From where life came? Did life come from the outer space? Did life come from the pre-existing space? Did life come from the some kinds of the organic material? So from where actually life came? Okay, so some scientists believe that it came from the outside. Some scientists believe that the God actually created all those human beings, all those organisms. Some scientists, some Greek thinkers thought the unit of life called the spores. Okay, so these different kinds of the actually proposal is there. And next thing is that this is the main experimental proof for the chemical evolution of life. So this is your Miller-Urey experiment. This is your Miller-Urey experiment, and this is important for your exam. This is your Miller-Urey experiment, and this is important for your exam. Okay, next thing is the origin of fast life. Next thing, origin of fast life. You have to remember that what is the main actually the origin of our fast life. Okay, the first thing is that the first actually the non-cellular thing, the first non-cellular form of life could have originated 3 billion years ago. Okay, I am repeating again, the first non-cellular form of life, not the cellular form. Okay, the first non-cellular form of life actually could have originated 3 billion years ago. Second thing, they would have been giant molecules like RNA, proteins or polysaccharides. Okay, so all are the non-cellular thing. All are the non-cellular abiotic thing, not the living thing. Okay. So next thing, these capsules were able to replicate or reproduce. This RNA can replicate, this protein can replicate, these polysaccharides can replicate. The first cellular forms of life must have appeared about less than 2 billion years ago. They must have been single cells. They must have been the single cells. Okay. So this is theory of the abiogenesis. This is the theory of the abiogenesis. Okay. So what is the meaning of it? The first form of life arose slowly through evolutionary forces from non-living molecules. So you have to remember the first life form in our planet, in our world, that in our universe, that the non-living substance, not the living substance, the abiotic substance. This is the non-living substance. This is not the living substance, and it is accepted by the scientist. And what are the non-living substance? This RNA, these proteins, these polysaccharides. But what is their main ability? The main ability that they can replicate, they can reproduce. Once formed, these single cells must have evolved into the diverse complex of today. Diverse complex organisms of today. Okay. So actually, this is the main thing. Okay, this is the main thing of the origin of the life. Okay, apart from this, the first life beings actually they evolved about 3900 to 4000 million years back in the soupy sea, where temperature had gone below 50 degrees centigrade. Okay, and atmosphere continued to be reducing due to absence of oxygen, and the protocells are collected more organic substance and form the single-celled prokaryotes. Okay, single-celled prokaryotes. This is our main fast-living organism. This is our main fast-living organism. Okay, next slide contains the evolution of life. Next slide contains the evolution of life forms. Actually, it is a theory. This is not any kinds of the practical thing. There is no proof. This is all those things are the theory. So what is the meaning of evolution of life? That evolution actually is one kind of the inherent property of the living beings. Okay, so this is actually one kind of the gradual change. This is actually one kind of the gradual change, that evolution is actually one kind of the inherent property of the living beings, and various forms of life that exist on earth share similarities among themselves as well as their ancestral life forms that existed on the millions of years ago. Okay, so several assumptions were to suppose evolution of life, of which the first was religious literature, which tells us about the theory of special creation, that the God actually created all those things. God created all those things. Okay, the theory of three connotations: one, that all living organisms that we see today were created as such, and two, that the diversity was always the same since creation and will be the same in future also. And three, that earth is about 4000 years old. The earth is about 4000 years old. Okay. Next thing, these ideas were strongly challenged during the 19th century by Charles Darwin, based on his observation made during a sea voyage in a sail ship called the HMS Beagle round the world. Okay, and he concluded that existing life forms share similarities to varying degrees not only among themselves but also with life forms that existed millions of years ago. And he said that the extinctions of different life forms took place, also new forms of life arose at different periods of history of earth. Okay, so this is the basic thing. So actually, although that this history of life forms on earth, has been both of extinctions of old forms and evolution of new forms are there. So this is actually the life. Okay, so life cannot be stacked at a point. Life cannot be stacked at a certain point. Okay, the life has to be evoluted. The life has to be evolved, otherwise life would be stacked at a certain point. So what is the meaning of this? That the death of old one, and the birth of new one and the birth of the new one. Okay, so this is our life actually. So evolution of new forms occurs due to the occurrence of variations and differential reproduction, and for that reason, that what is the main actually driving force? The reproduction. What is the main driving force? That the reproduction. Okay, so individuals with favorable variations under existing or changed environmental conditions will survive better and outbreed others with less favorable variations. This phenomenon is called the natural selection. Okay, and I hope already all of you know this thing, the two hypotheses, two theory of the Darwin. The first one is the struggle for existence and second one is the survival of the fittest. Okay, so these all those things, it involves the struggle for existence and survival of the fittest that leads to the reproductive fitness, because reproduction is the main driving force of the evolution. And the next thing is the variation. Variation is the main thing of the evolution. Okay, if variation is not there, then there is no evolution, there is no point of evolution, there is no trace of evolution present, because variation is mandatory, variation is constant in our life. If we not variate from each other, then we cannot survive. This is our survival strategy, this is our actually struggle strategy. Okay, so this is our main thing. So actually all those things, it has been also found that biological history of earth is closely correlated with geological history of earth, indicating the intimate relationship between evolution of new forms and happening on the earth. Okay, so this is the basic things of the evolution of life. Next thing, this is actually the picture of HMS Beagle. Next thing, organism actually has undergone gradual evolution due to variation of characteristics, which enables some to survive better in natural conditions, would outbreed others that are less endowed to survive under such natural conditions. So what is our basic need? The food, the shelter, and the different kinds of the climatic factor. Okay, and the home actually, food, shelter, and the clothes. Okay, so these are the main things. So these are actually dependent on the climatic factor. So it was referred as fitness of individual or population, which means the reproductive fitness. So what is the meaning of the reproductive fitness? That the fitness of individuals or population in reproduction, that's called the reproductive fitness. Okay, so those who are better fit in an environment leave more progeny, it means the more generation, than others which will survive more and hence are selected by the nature. Okay, so he called it natural selection and implied it as a mechanism of evolution. So this is the main thing, this is the main driving force of the evolution. This is the main driving force of evolution, that those who are better fit in an environment leave more progeny than others which will survive more, and hence nature actually will select these kinds of the organism. So he called it natural selection and implied it as a mechanism of evolution. Scientist Alfred Wallace, a naturalist who worked in actually Malay archipelago, had also come to similar conclusion that Darwin had. So all the existing life forms share similarities and share some common ancestry. Okay, so I have discussed earlier that all the existing life forms actually, because our ancestor is same. Okay, and we are descendants actually. Okay, so although all the organisms are actually share some kinds of similarities and shares common ancestors also. So however, these ancestors were present at different periods at the history of earth. Okay, so they also concluded that the earth is very old and not thousands of years as was thought earlier, but billions of years old. Okay, so this is the basic theory of the main evolution of life forms. Next thing is the geological history of earth. Next slide contains the geological history of earth. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? That with advancing studies on evolution, actually that some scientists were able to conclude that Earth is billions of years old. In our last slide, we have discussed the geological time scale is divided into eras, periods, and epochs. Okay, so rocks are formed by sedimentation. Okay, and a cross section of earth indicate that the arrangement of the sediment one over the other during the long history of earth. Different sediments contain different life forms which probably died during the formation of the particular sediment. Certain organisms got extinct during these phases, like dinosaur. Have you heard the term dinosaur? Have you heard the species name? This dinosaur, I hope all of you have heard, all of you have seen Jurassic Park movie also. So this dinosaur actually, that time, once upon a time, dinosaur was the predominant animal in our whole world. Okay, but after certain era, after certain period, these organisms actually got extinct wholly. Okay, because they cannot survive properly. They could not survive properly on our earth. So those found towards upper layer resemble modern organisms, while others in deeper layers were the simple and the older forms. Evidences of the evolution. So all those things are theory actually. So what is the actual evidence that by which or on which we actually can prove these all those things? So evidences of evolution actually come from certain stages: paleontology, embryology, comparative analogy and morphology, molecular homology and biogeography. This is important for your exam. This evidences of evolution is very important for your exam. Okay, so by 5 to 6 things, evidences in support of evolution have come from a number of fields like the paleontology, morphology, anatomy, embryology, cytology, this molecular homology and the biogeography also. So let's discuss now one by one. What is the meaning of the paleontology? What is the meaning of this paleontology? This is the study of fossil. I think all of you know this thing, what is the meaning of fossil. Okay, so it is a study of fossils found in the rocks to support the organic evolution. And study of fossils from different sedimentary layers indicates the geological time period in which the organisms existed. First of all, second thing is the life forms varied over time and certain life forms are restricted to certain geological lifespan. Next thing, the new forms of life that have appeared at different times in the history of earth. I am repeating again, what is the meaning of the paleontology? This is the study of the fossils, and these fossils actually found in the rocks to support organic evolution, and study of fossils from different sedimentary layers indicates the geological time period in which the organisms existed. Second thing is the life forms varied over time and certain life forms are restricted to certain geological lifespan. And the third one is the new forms of life that have appeared at different times in the history of earth. Okay, so this is the paleontology, and through the paleontological study we can see that what is the main organisms were present millions of years ago. Okay, this is the fossils. Actually this is the picture of the different fossils. I think all of you know this, what is the meaning of fossils. You have studied all those things in geography class also. So next thing is the embryology. Okay, what is the meaning of the embryology? I think all of you know this thing, the study of the embryo, that's called the embryology. The study of the embryo, that's called the embryology. So it is a study based upon the observation of certain common features during the embryonic stages of all vertebrates. I am repeating again, it is a study based upon the observation of certain common features during the embryonic stages of all vertebrates. Okay. So scientist Ernst Haeckel proposed a biogenetic law which states that ontogeny repeats phylogeny or ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. What is the meaning of it? The development or embryological stages of organism, that's called the ontogeny, actually recapitulates their evolutionary history. Repeats their evolutionary history, that's called the phylogeny. What is the meaning of phylogeny? That through the phylogeny you will get to know your ancestor, your descendants, all of those. Okay, just like the family tree. just like the family tree. Okay, so this is the main thing, this is actually the basic things of the phylogeny. So I am repeating again, scientist Ernst Haeckel proposed the biogenic law, which states that ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, that is the developmental embryological stages of organism, which actually recapitulates their evolutionary history. That's called the phylogeny. So vertebrate embryos show similarities, which are all vertebrate embryos develop a row of gill slits, but they are functional only in the fish and not found in any other vertebrates. And the second thing, notochord is present in all vertebrate embryos. Notochord is present in all vertebrate embryos. I am repeating again, all vertebrate embryos develop a row of gill slits, but they are functional only in fish and not found in any other vertebrates. And second thing is the notochord is present in all vertebrate embryos. So, but this proposal was disapproved by von Baer. He noted that embryos never pass through the adult stage of other animals. Actually, embryos never pass through the adult stages of other animals. Okay, this is the embryos and evolutionary history, that gill slits, and this is the fish, this is reptiles, this is bird, and the human. This tail is present in both the 4 classes. Next thing, comparative anatomy and morphology. This morphology, what is the meaning of morphology? Morphology means the study of forms, the structure which you can see from the outside, like my skin color, my eye color, my hair color, all those things are morphology. All those things actually define me, okay, from the outside. So this is actually the relative position of different organs. So and what is the meaning of the anatomy? Anatomy means the study of the internal structure. What does it mean? It means that you cannot see my liver structure, you cannot see my heart structure, you cannot see my kidney structure, so you cannot see my genetic composition. So all those things are the anatomy, all those things belongs to the anatomy. What is the meaning of this? That internal structure, that this comparative study of the morphology and anatomy is useful in knowing the basic similarity, dissimilarity, functional and non-functional structures and level of organization. I am repeating again, comparative study of morphology and anatomy is useful in knowing basic similarity, dissimilarity, functional and non-functional structures and level of organisms. Actually, from this field, two term is there. The first one is the homology, second one is the analogy. What is the meaning of the homology? Homology is the relationship among organs or among the organisms of different groups of the organisms that show similarity in the basic structure and embryonic development but perform different function. What is the meaning of this? They are structurally same. They are structurally same, but functionally function is different. Okay, so this is the basic things of the homology. Homology of organs of different organisms indicate their common ancestry. So it actually depicts the one common ancestor is there. Okay, so through this ancestor, from this ancestor, different descendants actually came, and these different descendants have the structural same organs are there, but their functions are different according to their actually needs, according to their body needs. Okay, so this is the basic things of the homology, and homology is found in the bones of 4 limbs of whales, cheetah, birds, amphibians and humans. They have similar basic anatomical structure with the bones humerus, radius, ulna, carpels, metacarpals and the phalanges. Okay, the thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of cucurbita represents the same homology. Okay, what is the meaning of it? That their structures are same, okay, but their functions are different. The thorns of bougainvillea perform different function, the tendrils of cucurbita perform the different function, but they are structurally same. So this is the basic things of the homology. These homologous organs are the result of the divergent evolution. Okay, this is the actually the divergent evolution. What is the meaning of it? The ancestors are same, but the different descendants are there. Different descendants are there. Okay, so this is the evolutionary process where the same structure develops along different directions due to the adaptation of different needs. Okay, so this is thorns of bougainvillea and this is the tendrils of cucurbita. They are structurally same. Okay, their ancestry are same, but their functions are different. Suppose this cucurbita actually, these tendrils of cucurbita actually act as the support system, and these tendrils, these thorns actually their protective organ. Okay, so this is the basic things. Next thing is the analogy. Okay, what is the meaning of the analogy? This analogy is the relationship among organs of different groups of organisms perform the same function irrespective of structural or anatomical differences. Okay, what is the meaning of this? That their structures are not same, their functions are same, but the structures are not same. Okay, that's just vice versa, just opposite to the homology. Okay, their functions are same but structures are not same. So analogy is the relationship among the organisms of different groups of organisms performing the same function. Their ancestors are not same. Okay, but what happened? Their functions are same irrespective of structural or anatomical differences. Example, eyes of octopus and those of mammals, the wings of butterfly and those of birds, flippers of whales and dolphins, and those of penguins, tubers of sweet potato and those potato, those are actually the anatomically not same, but their structural condition is same. So analogy actually result of the convergent evolution. Please remember these two terms, the divergent evolution and the convergent evolution. The proper example of divergent evolution is the homologous organ, and the proper example of the convergent evolution of the analogous is the analogous organ. Okay, so the evolutionary process where anatomically different structures are there, they are actually they structurally different but the functions are the same. Their function actually, the group of organisms evolve towards the same function. So it is the similar habitat condition that have selected similar adaptive features in different groups of organisms towards the same function. Okay, the wings of butterflies and the birds of the wings of the birds. Okay, so these wings of the butterfly and the wings of the birds, their structures are totally different but the functions are same. What is the main function? That they can fly through by these wings. Okay, their functions are same. So this is the main thing. Next thing is the molecular homology. So this molecular homology refers to the similarities in the biomolecules of different groups of organisms. Molecular homology refers to the similarities in the biomolecules of different groups of organisms. Okay, the sequence of nucleotides in nucleic acid and many proteins are similar in apes and humans. The biochemical similarities point to the same or common ancestry of the diverse organisms. So what is the meaning of it? The molecular homology. The molecular homology actually refers to the similarities in the biomolecules of different groups of organisms. The sequence of nucleotides in nucleic acids and many proteins are similar in apes and humans. The biochemical similarities point to the same and common ancestry of the diverse organism. Next thing is the biogeography. What is the meaning of it? The biogeography, the differential geographical distribution of different organisms also indicates the common or shared ancestry in that restricted region. Suppose in our whole world, suppose 5 to 6 biogeographic regions are there. Okay, so within this several biogeographical regions, so there are actually you will find some kinds of organisms, they also actually show some common characteristics, common or shared ancestry in the restricted region. Okay, so this is the main thing. The habitat isolation has probably restricted these organisms to particular geographical regions on the earth. So this is the main thing of the biogeography. So this is our last, this was our last slide. Okay, and from today's class we came to know the main thing is the what is the main origin of life, the proof, the experimental proof of the origin of life. Okay, and the What is evolution? The different kinds of the evidences for evolution. This is very much important. The different fields, this morphological study, the anatomical comparative morphology and anatomy, molecular homology, biogeography, this taxonomy, okay, this analogy, homology, all those things are very important. And among all those things, this Miller-Urey experiment and the homologous and analogous organs are very much important for your exam. So please go through it properly. Okay, in our next class we will discuss the another topic from this chapter. Okay, so I am ending this session. Please go through it, and if you have any queries, any problem, ask me immediately. Thank you. Bye.